be heard. You're talking about multiple states, Jenna.
Right, and this is the difference between, of course, the contention in 2000, where you had a few counties and you had a couple, multiple actions, but we were really just dealing with one state in Florida. Here we have 6 states in play, and so this really is going to be up to the courts to make sure to hear these cases expeditiously. But that's why the lawsuits that we filed in Pennsylvania and Michigan so far are so critically important, Maria, because what we're asking in those cases is for the court to intervene and have an injunction that stops those states from certifying the results until we can be heard on the merits. It's incredibly important that the states don't certify false results.
So tell me about the case, because I've got tens of thousands of Pennsylvania ballots were returned earlier than sent as one issue here, which I'm reading in one report. I want to look at Pennsylvania in particular, Jenna. The Keystone State is the first lawsuit you dropped. It says it received 10,000 mail-in ballots in the 3 days following Election Day. Those ballots now the subject of a U.S. Supreme Court challenge by Republicans. GOP lawsuits allege more widespread voter fraud across the Commonwealth. And Rudy Giuliani outlined that scenario to me on Sunday Morning Futures. But tell me what the case is when you look at Pennsylvania specifically, Jenna.
Yes, so Pennsylvania, of course, is a disaster. And so right now, we do have a great ruling from Justice Alito from the Supreme Court that said for these delayed and late ballots, for any of those that came in after the deadline, those have to be segregated so that we can make sure to preserve that issue. And we need to know how many ballots specifically were coming in after the deadline. Because the important thing here, Maria, is that the Pennsylvania legislature has not acted. And so the executive branch of these election officials, as well as the governor of Pennsylvania, are trying to have these late ballot count after the deadline, and that is against Pennsylvania law. So all we're asking is that these late ballots do not be counted because that is unconstitutional. It's dilution of valid, legitimate, legal votes, and we want every legal vote to count. And so that is pending before the Supreme Court. That is one challenge. And then, of course, everything else going on in Pennsylvania with all of the affidavits that we have, with all of the reports of other widespread fraud and inconsistencies and other illegal activity, as well as all of these other irregularities. So it's incredibly important that we maintain legitimacy in our election results and that the American people have confidence that the results that are ultimately certified in the states show the genuine winner. That's the free and fair election system in America, and that's the goal of what Team Trump is doing, that every legal vote counts and we make sure to protect election integrity. And it's shocking, Maria, that the Democrats and especially Joe Biden are calling him president-elect when no states have certified and when there are these really incredible allegations that we have sworn affidavits and that we want to get to the bottom of. It should be incumbent upon the Democrats to say, yes, we agree. Every legal vote should count. We don't want illegal activity to go on. We don't want election fraud. So we agree. We want to make sure that every legal vote counts. They're not saying that. If they were fully transparent, then, what do they have to hide? If they're so confident Joe Biden is winning, then what do they have to hide?
Yeah. Are you going to have enough evidence of irregular ballots that could actually overturn the results in Pennsylvania? Do you believe you have enough fraud, quote unquote, to overturn this? And then does this come down to an issue of what's legal? What if somebody says, well, I was told that because of COVID, I could come in on November 5th and I could vote then, or I was told that, things would be counted until 3 days after, so I thought that was legal, even though I didn't make it, by 8 o'clock on Election Day?
Yeah, well, of course, ignorance of the law is no excuse. We've heard that maxim. And so, that's why there's been so much awareness around how you can legally cast your vote and how you can participate in this election. And so it's a matter of making sure that every legal vote counts. And part of the reason, Maria, that we want to have meaningful access to be able to look at these ballots is so that we see how much does the fraud spread and how many ballots are are we talking about? And the fact that Pennsylvania and also Michigan are not allowing Team Trump and GOP representatives to actually go in and look at the ballots and have these counts and see what exactly we're dealing with, that's part of the issue here as well. And that's also what we filed for, is for meaningful access so that we can see, is this outcome determinative? We think that that's likely, but this is why it's so incredibly important that we have these suits, that the judicial branch will intervene and they will make sure to not certify the results until we know exactly what's going on here. And every American should be behind that and should be behind President Trump.
Jenna, right, we only have a couple of seconds here. When do you expect this process to be done? When will we know whether or not there was significant fraud, systemic?
Well, and that depends on when we're granted meaningful access. So hopefully sooner rather than later. I know every American wants this done expeditiously, but hopefully within the next 2 weeks. But we'll see.
Jenna, good to see you this morning. Thanks very much. We, of course, will be watching. Jenna Ellis. We'll be right back.